exciting.
No, seriously, he did.
No, so what happened, I was talking to Carl,
Starting to
oh, when I sent that thing over.
He has a copy. Look at his copy.
The United States of America.
You show him the copy?
That smile gets bigger and bigger as the day goes on.
Give me that back.
It'd be nice if once in a while you got I'm sure.
Who told you that?
Oh, Vivian King. No, she said that's not true, so I knew she was gonna be here tonight.
Is she?
I know, that's what Lena said. Hey, I know that guy. His cell phone's not off. That's a violation of the open public meeting law, and I consider it offensive.
air, Lou.
Welcome. Usually it's not on that quickly. Welcome to the Oakland Mayor and Council meeting. I welcome everyone here this evening. And before we begin, please look at your cell phones. We just had this discussion to please turn off the sound if you have to use it. If it vibrates, only you can hear it because it's vibrating. But we also ask that you refrain from texting because it is discourteous and it is disruptive, and it could be construed as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act, texting one another. So at this time, roll call.
Mayor Schrager?
Here.
Councilman Bialy?
Here.
Councilman Net?
Here.
Councilman Kamala?
Here.
Councilman Levy?
Here.
Councilman Pimentelli?
Here.
Councilman Talamini, absent.
Is there a motion?
So moved to have Councilman Talamini excused.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I ask you to stand to salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. That takes my chair.
I like the pretty color.
Meeting announcement. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law duly announced, advertised, and posted in the municipal building. And did you get my computer to work?
I did, thank you.
Yes. Councilman Levy is using my computer. I am using paper tonight.
I left mine at home. I'm gonna have to load it on.
The first thing I'm going to do is my mayor's report, which is what I usually start with every meeting. And I'm starting with some answers to questions from residents. As you know, people call me, people email me, people stop at my office because I do have an open door policy, and I welcome all residents to contact me. Unfortunately, I received a letter last week or 2 weeks ago claiming that I was ignoring a resident. He had emailed me, and he lives in Rampo River Reserve, so if you, and he said, why am I ignoring him? I always say that I'm going to respond. I went through all my emails, and I could not find his email. And so I called Mr. Kunz, and he said he emailed Mr. Kunz, and he said, I said, I can't find your email. He went through the website, and if you go onto the website, it gives you a connector to the mayor and council. So I talked to Mr. Kunz. I said, I went through all my clutter. I went through all my emails. I could not find the email. He said, look in your junk mail. So I said, I thought that was clutter, and he said no. So now he told me there's a separate arrow all the way in the bottom of the computer. I went down. I found over 200 emails in the junk mail from the website. I apologize to any resident who tried to email me through the website. So I said to this resident, how did you finally find me? He said, because he reads my articles, and I give him my mayor's email address, mayorschwager@oakland-nj.org, and that's how he finally reached me. And I thanked him. I said, by you accusing me of ignoring you and me responding to you made me find out why I wasn't getting some emails that people said I'm not responding. And so for every day now, I go through my junk mail, and it's empty. So if you try to reach any of us through the website and we do not respond, it's not because we're ignoring you, it's because we didn't realize it went into the junk mail. But as a result, I have asked Mr. Kunz to go through the website and figure out why, if you go through the website to try to reach us, it ends up in junk mail. And he was showing me some things to do, but, so, as a result, his problem was in Ramapo River Reserve. So the question was, why are we ignoring the walkway or the sidewalk on Ramapo River Reserve? And the answer is we're not. We have hired a contractor, somebody that is reputable, that we got from our engineer, who was away, so I could not have this discussion because he was on the other end of the earth. And I didn't want to bother him while he was in the southeast somewhere.
Korea and Japan.
Well, so here is the answer. We did hire a contractor. We thought we were all ready to go forward. Unfortunately, there is a piece of paper that this contractor needed, some kind of governmental certificate
Yes,
that he did not have in his possession.
that is correct.
So, he's very reputable. He's going to do it very quickly. The price was excellent. Our engineer, you trust in him,
Yes,
and he certifies his work. So as soon as he gets his certificate, you will have a sidewalk along Patriots Way Bridge. And so I apologize that I could not get that answer to you sooner. Other questions were about traffic congestion, which we all know exists, on Yorpo, West Oakland Avenue, and 202. When I first became mayor, I thought just by having the lights adjusted on West Oakland Avenue and Franklin Avenue would stop the traffic flow, and you know, you try. As I told my kids, I was always bringing them up, I said, you got to give it your all, you got to try, and then if it doesn't work, then you try something else. But if you don't try, you don't know if it's going to be successful. Well, just adjusting the lights and coordinating the way the lights go is not helping us with traffic. It is a very bad intersection. We have the railroad who controls everything. We had stopped for a while thinking that we were going to have sewers and a whole downtown plan, which was put on hold because of the proposed sewer plan. So after this resident spoke to me, I told him that I already contacted our public safety committee, and we are going to have a meeting with our police officer in charge / captain and our traffic control officer, traffic safety officer, and we will discuss this intersection once again.
Mayor, if I may, just add to what you're saying. In addition to the railroad, there are wires at the entrance or exit off of 287 to Ramapo Valley Road. When the traffic backs up, it changes the sequence
Yes.
on all the traffic lights. So
That is true.
That's another
Yes,
reason why.
it does change it, okay. It does change it, but then it goes back into the sequence.
Right,
But,
yeah.
so we're having a meeting. So that's the second question. The third big problem we had this past week, while everybody was on vacation but me, was, Mr. Kunz wasn't here, our engineer wasn't here, is Ramapo Park. If you all know, Ramapo Park is up on Skyline Drive. And Ramapo Park is a state park with residents who live in Ramapo Park, and it's part Oakland and part Wanacue. And I'm told that there's some parts in Amawa, when I was up there a while back. And the road, they pay taxes to Oakland, or if they live in the Wanacue side, to Wanacue and Passaic County. We renamed the streets because they never had street names because they weren't getting the mail properly, so we were able to, when Frank Leone was still alive, we had them have streets names. However, they have problems with the roads. And so I contacted, it took me a long time to contact our Assemblyman Bob Orth. I spoke to our Senator Jerry Cardinal. I said, look, you got to do something. This is a state park. you're in the district that happens to be, the state park is in the full 39th district, which is Oakland and Wanacue. It's, even though it's Bergen County and Passaic County, you are the legislators that control Ramapo Park. So I just spoke again to Bob Orth, our assemblyman, who promised me he was gonna drive up there before the end of this week. So he promised me he would get back to me. So if you are a resident, and I would have called the resident who sent me the letter by certified mail and the police chief, I would have called you, but you didn't have a phone number on your letter. So I'm making this announcement. I don't have your email address. If you know of anybody who lives in Ramapo Park and knows the person who sent me this letter, I really don't want to name the names, please have this person call me or email me so I can respond to them about what's going on, that we needed the state to come in to help us with the park, because we don't have the right to just go in and do the roads. So that takes care of the three big questions that occurred this week while everybody was on vacation. Yesterday with Mr. Kunz, I went down with our engineers to the continuing saga of trying to get sewers into Oakland. Our biggest problem are our treatment plants that need emergency, I don't know what they need. Replacement is a good word. So it's continuing, and when we know something, you will be the ones to know also. And with that, I will entertain a motion to open to the
So
public.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wish to speak? No one wishes to speak?
Motion to close.
Oh, wait a minute, he's getting up.
I'll speak. First and foremost, thank you guys for allowing me to be here and represent. I'm the new store manager over in Staples. This weekend, we're actually having a back-to-school block party. Kind of want to just let everybody know what was going on. It's going to be 20% off all school supplies. We'll be raffling off some games. We'll have face painting. We'll be having some hot dogs, popcorn for free if you guys want to stop on in just to grab that.
I told you I would visit you. I have something. No, I have something, for, you know.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And she likes hot dogs.
I do like hot dogs, yes, I do.
We also have some donations going on, so if you, let's say you buy a bag of our donations, you could drop it off to any school that you like us to within the community. And we're also running something called Classroom Awards. So this program allows, let's say if you have kids and you're shopping, you can get 5% of your purchase can go toward the teacher of your choice. So it's just kind of a way that Staples is trying to get back into the community and give back without, hurting anybody's pockets.
When is that
way.
gonna be?
It's gonna be this weekend, the 17th
Is
and
it Saturday
18th.
and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday. Just gonna have a little fun with it and just give back to the community.
I saw balloons out in front of Staples. I thought when we spoke, you did say Saturday and Sunday, but I saw balloons today.
Well, we do that because we're having a chair event as well. So
Oh,
like
oh,
all
oh,
the chairs,
to
like
buy
50%,
chairs.
50% off. They're clearance chairs. We like to have fun in my store, so.
I know,
just
it's a
wanted to
great
let
store.
Just wanted to let you guys know what we'll be having this weekend. It's just pretty cool to get back to the community. And so far, I've only been here for about 3-4 months. This is an awesome place. Everybody's pretty well, engaging, and I love to be here. So just wanted to say thank you guys for allowing me to represent.
And your staff
Thank
are
you.
very, very good.
I
They're
appreciate
very
that.
friendly.
I
I'm
appreciate
always
that.
in there. You see me all the time.
All right, so if you have guys any questions, I got flyers and stuff I can leave
Yes.
for you guys, okay?
Thank you.
My
Does-
pleasure.
Anyone else wish to speak? If not, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes July 24th.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman
Anybody here?
Pimentelli.
Yes?
Anybody else? We have minutes, the executive session of July 24th. If there's going to be any discussion, it must be done during executive session. There a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Will there be any discussion? If not, roll call.
Councilman Bialy.
Yes.
Councilman Knapp.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pimentelli.
Yes.
So the first thing we're going to do, I waited, is there anybody else that's coming from rec? I know the two of you and Sandra. You think that's it? Okay. Well, we have a very special guest tonight, who I know personally because he's in my Rotary Club. But Brian is the branch manager of Columbia Bank, and he worked with one of, can I mention your name? Councilman Levy. And he has something to make a presentation, and that's why we have the rec commissioners who could come attend tonight. So Brian?
Hi.
Come over here where there's a speaker in the ceiling and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing here.
And just while he's walking up, it really wasn't any work. I went into Brian's office, said, hockey rink, we need. And he said, okay, I can make it happen.
So you heard that. If Lou comes into your office and says, we need, be prepared. So if you stand underneath the podium, believe it or not, the speaker, no, turn around, on the other side.
Oh,
And if you look in the ceiling, that is where the speaker is, but you don't have to look up to speak.
yep.
Okay.
Or you can, but then you're gonna look really funny on it.
Don't crane your neck.
And I think all our rep, because they are so wonderful. We are so lucky with our volunteer rec commissioners. So Mike, our chairman, Vivian, who has worked very hard with the roller hockey. Sandra is now a commissioner. Because you're the ones who deserve to receive this. Listen, I have a boot on my leg, so I'll lend it to you, my Achilles tendon, I'll lend it to you if you fall.
All right. Again, on behalf of the Columbia Bank Foundation, we approved to donate $25,000 to the Sports Association of Oakland, which is going to renovate the hockey rink, the roller hockey rink in town. And it was great that Lou came to me. We're trying to do something for a while in the town.
We have so many more projects.
There's a lot of projects.
I
And
can
we're
think at
trying
least
to
a dozen.
decipher which would be the best. There's so much more going on in the future. So again, if there's any way that Columbia Bank can help out, we're here. We're very involved with all of our communities.
We need a bridge replaced up in.
Yes.
Yeah.
First the sidewalk.
So I'm here to present this tonight.
Thank you to Columbia Bank. And thank you to Lou. Lou and I have been working on this for the beginning of the year. And let me say, grants are not easy. I get rejected for more grants than you could possibly imagine.
We know, we
And-
get it too.
And it's a lot of work. And,
I
but,
give you a lot of credit.
but it's a lot of, but it's obviously worth it. I mean, I heard all the oohs when we said 25,000, which is cool. Thanks to the SAO, who acts as our 501c3 and allows us to use them. And really, thank you, Brian. I also want to thank Vivian's our roller hockey commissioner. She does a great
That's
job
right.
with roller hockey.
We waited for you. That's why I held off, John.
And Sandra's also on the commission. She does a great job of volleyball and a lot of other stuff. I know they were busy tonight with
Can I get a picture roll for you, please? Getting the check, handing the check.
Oh, I took a
Wait, where's the
picture
big
too.
check, Brian? I thought you were gonna bring a big.
Ready?
yeah.
That's when the project is done.
I'll take another one.
I'll count to three. One, two, three. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
Now that goes, and 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks already?
For
We received a check from the county, which this will be added to. And so we're going, and with your help, Vivian, thank you so much for all the work you do with that ring. I mean, if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't be
We will be
existing.
acknowledging their donation by putting them up on the scoreboard. And
Brian, not Brian's
recognizing-
picture.
Not his picture.
It's gonna be Brian Roller.
worldwide.
And I am working with the sign company to have that completed.
And I know Lou's gonna present it to the council now,
Yes.
so we can get all our T's
All
crossed
of
and
our
stuff.
ducks in a row.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to thank you, and you'll, should I send a letter to the vice president?
Mayor,
Helping you? You'll let me know, I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Brian,
Yes.
Councilman, if you'd like to acknowledge, yes.
I just,
And I will, I'm going to come by.
Mayor, if I would, just before we get off the topic of the ring,
Don't leave yet.
I wanted, we need to thank John, from Boswell, because I know you guys cut your fee for the engineering by a pretty good piece to help us get this done. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And as a matter of fact, we're receiving bids tomorrow
Oh.
on the rebid at 11 o'clock. We think we've done our homework on this. Again, we've talked to some contractors before it went out to bid. and we think we're ready tomorrow, so,
Beautiful. Well,
1 o'clock.
I know you guys really sharpen the pencil pretty seriously, so thank you.
So the next item, a few council meetings ago, I don't remember how many council meetings ago, it was suggested that I go to the Environmental Commission meeting, which I did. And one of the very positive things that came out of it was I learned so much about what the Environmental Commission is doing and what we could do to help our environment. And I suggested that maybe the first meeting of the month, which is the second Wednesday night of the month, someone from the Environmental Commission come and give us like a tidbit of the month, how we could help the environment, what could we do to recycle, what we could do to help ourselves in our society. And so you are the first, and then maybe you'll come back next month, or somebody else will be representing the Environmental Commission. So you have to give everybody your name, address, your title, and welcome. Thank you for coming and taking me up on the offer.
I have some props here. I'm going to get to in a second. It's great to be here. My name's David Blank. I'm chair of the Environmental Commission,
Right.
and this is a great opportunity for us. So I really appreciate Mayor and Council giving us a couple minutes to talk here. Just really quickly, part of the mission of the Environmental Commission in town is to protect our natural resources, but it's also to raise awareness and educate all residents about the daily conservation practices. So this ties right into that part of our mission. What we want to do is a monthly sustainability tip, and get everybody thinking about the daily decisions that we make when we think about these kind of big climate issues that are going on and other things. They sometimes seem so big and overwhelming, but really what it comes down to is each and every one of us and our decisions that we make every day in our lives and the choices that we make, and each one of those decisions have an impact, and let's make a positive impact. So again, really, really thankful to Mayor and Council to give us this opportunity. Any questions afterwards can be, for people tuned in, can be emailed to ec@oakland-newjersey.org. So the thing I wanted to talk about today was a real epidemic in terms of food waste across the United States. Americans waste 150,000 tons of food each day, which is 1 pound per person. And that waste has a huge environmental impact. It's 30 million acres of land that is just wasted food. And that is 780 million pounds of pesticide. It's 4.2 trillion gallons of irrigation water. And that doesn't really cover, so all this food waste that we're talking about ends up in landfills and generates methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas. So a lot of waste that's causing a lot of negative environmental impact. So when you learn about these things, you talk to a lot of people, they say, that's so massive, what can I do? Well, there's things you can do. And one of them is composting. So that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, was how each and every one of you can compost at home. And it's a lot of fun. I know some of us do it already. Composting, so what is composting? It's the use of natural processes to change organic materials and waste through decomposition into rich soil. So anything that was once alive will decompose. There's a bigger lesson in that we're not going to get into now. But what I wanted to show you, so when you're home and you have scraps at home, you can use all these things and turn it into really rich soil that can be used as fertilizer. It could also inject beneficial acids into the ground. So, and what's really cool about Oakland is very supportive of this. We have bins that are available for sale at a very hefty discount. They look like that. It's a big black bin, and you can purchase it for $60.
Does the camera see this way?
Zoom.
Does the camera see this?
So that's available for sale by the DPW. What's extra cool is, I just learned this today, the DPW delivers them to your house on request.
Can't beat
I mean,
that, free delivery.
How can you beat that? So Basically, it's about
Better than
design.
Amazon.
What's that?
Better than Amazon.
Exactly, exactly. Within an hour, it's at your house. So it's basically, composting is about breaking kind of into two categories, what's called browns and greens. The browns are carbon-rich materials, and those would be things like newspaper. Okay, so this comes with the bin that the composting bin that you get in town. I keep this in my kitchen. I keep it. You can keep it in the fridge, or you keep it on the counter. Stuff in it. So like newspaper is a brown, that would go in there.
Rather than recycle?
You could recycle it too.
Oh.
You could recycle it too, and you might not need that as all your newspaper in your compost bin. You probably don't need that much. Your leaves also, so leaves from your yard, that would go in your compost bin as well. So there's all these things around that are actually useful that you might just throw away these days. And then there's the greens. So those are the browns, and then there's greens. This is going to get really interesting now. So this is coffee filter. So coffee filter would go in with your grounds, stuff that. Might get a little gross for you guys. This is a old pepper, from a red pepper. That goes in there. Bread, apple, lettuce, all these things that you would normally just kind of sweep off your counter into the garbage. You can make good use of them. Tea bag, more lettuce, and even these little things. I have a lot of fun with that. Even like little tops of strawberries that you cut off and you don't eat, throw that in too. And then what you do after that is you throw it into the bin. So I would take this outside once it gets filled, throw it into the bin, and mix it up. You want the balance to be, depending on what you read, it could be half and half browns and greens. Some other things you might read, sources that you go to would suggest another ratio. It's a fun thing to play around with and you figure out what's working for you. What you don't put in there though are meat, dairy, bones, or any kind of cooking oils or anything like that, because that will create smells, bring critters around, do all sorts of other things, and you don't want that stuff in there. You want to keep it a little bit wet. And within, figure weeks, months, you have something called humus, which is the soil, this kind of rich soil that I'm talking about. I don't have it. This is straight from my compost today. It's not quite humus yet, but you can see you can see the evolution or the decomposition kind of happening. So all this stuff here in here turns into that.
Wow.
And that's on its way to a rich, fine
So you
humus.
seal it and you don't touch it? And
Well,
you
no,
let-
I put this in here for demonstration. My wife's going to kill me because these are actually used for food.
Oh.
But I brought it.
Don't mind.
I brought it here to just show it
Little
to
bleach
you.
and water.
Right.
Used
Exactly.
to be used for.
But it stays in the bin. You just keep turning it every once in a while, and it'll ultimately
But you don't put nothing else in it? You
Nothing else in it.
Just
all this
whatever-
this stuff, eggshells. There's a lot of things you could put in there. Hay, wheat. So.
You guys have a list of this stuff that we can
We
put
can
on the
definitely,
website?
for sure. It's also like if you get the Earth Machine, which is the bin from the town, there's tips on here, and there's also these lists of like what goes in and what stays out. It's also just great with kids and grandkids and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. My son loves to just kind of like dump stuff in there, mix it around with a shovel.
And then what do you do with it? You put it
you
back
put
in
it-
the soil?
You put it back in the soil, so you can plant with it. It has a lot of nutrients in it, which is great for planting soil. And then so it's just super nutrient rich.
And does the temperature affect it at all? So you're saying either the compost bin is outside, if it's very hot or very cold, is that?
Yeah, so in the
factor?
winter, it kind of freezes up and stays there.
But it does generate heat.
It generates-
In the
it generates-
decomposition process, yes, it does. Not that you can't heat your house with it, but I mean, there is some heat.
Yeah, it needs to actually get kind of north of 80 degrees.
Oh.
So get into the 100 zone. Could sometimes even get hotter, and that's what causes all this decomposition.
Wow.
So in the spring and summer, you'll see that accelerate. It's the other really cool thing about this is that you just kind of actually feel your garbage bags getting lighter. because you are really taking a lot of this food waste that you're just throwing out and making good use of it. So yeah, I'll just kind of repeat, like, any other follow-up questions for?
Question.
Yeah, sure.
For a family of four, myself, we got 2 kids. Realistically, if we get the one from the town, how long would it take before it fills up, or or the process does it take?
Yeah, so I have a family of 5, and I got the big bin probably 4 to 6 months ago. It's like a quarter full. Like it can take a lot. It takes a lot. So depending on just kind of like the materials that are in there and how long it takes to decompose, that will last you a really long time. So it's kind of a trial and everything. The cool thing about this is you can't break it. There's no way to break it. It'll just kind of ultimately over time decompose. It's the natural process. So it's a lot of fun.
Question.
Yes.
What's so special about the bin versus just using something else? I don't know
Yeah.
what makes
Yeah,
that bin.
there's a great question, and there's like a numerous types of compost piles that you can have. There's outdoor ones that like, you could have like, just big piles outside if you had like more land or something like that. This bin is contained, so what's great about this one is I have it right next to my house. It's contained, and it aerates really well. So you want an airflow in there, and it's got kind of slits along the side of it that allows air to go in and out. And then it has, if you want, it won't allow, if for example there were critters that want to get in there, which is unusual. It's got like a door that goes up and down, so it's kind of well contained and very like super easy to use.
Okay.
I also have a bin that tumbles too, but I actually like this one that's provided by the town better. Actually, it works better, and it contains a lot. Yeah. So again, for you guys, for the community, if you have any questions, it's the ec@oakland-newjersey.org.
EC for Environmental Commission.
And last announcement is we do have an open environmental commissioner seat. So if people are interested in working on this type of stuff and a lot of other amazing initiatives for the town, reach out to us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot.
And so next month you'll come up with another.
Something else.
Next
That's
month we will
great.
have another person from the commission talking about another exciting topic.
You could always come back.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
As the liaison to the Environmental Commission, they have a tremendous amount of good ideas, as David just mentioned. And to support what he just said about composting, I compost all my leaves and grass and eggshells and coffee grinds and any other green that I can get off the tables from my house. And I would say my pile of leaves is about 5 foot high, and within a year it's down to about 1 foot. And it's beautiful topsoil. It's absolutely gorgeous. You have to do the mix, as he said. I put green in there, I put brown in there. I use soil because there are microbes in the soil that help decompose all the things that I put in there. The other point I want to make, and I just heard this today and I'm very excited about it, I think the Environmental Commission would be too. The University of Colorado, by accident, it was an accident, they developed an enzyme that decomposes plastic. So this enzyme can decompose plastic within 2 months.
Wow.
They hope to accelerate that to be within a week. And the other interesting comment was that every year, 9 million metric tons of plastic is disposed of in our oceans. That's a dump truck a day, every hour dumped into the
So
ocean.
could you imagine if it
Yeah.
can be decomposed?
Yeah, so this is an enzyme by accident, University of Colorado, and I think Pennsylvania too collaborated on it.
Yeah.
But they helped to
I think the
accelerate
status
it.
in a couple decades, there's gonna be more plastic in the oceans than fish.
Well, in
Yeah.
another year, you may be coming back and talking about that.
Yeah, we hope.
Thanks for having us.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for
Thank you,
coming.
David, appreciate it.
Thanks.
At this time, we have a sign request, and we have Rick.
I'll get back to it. So, you probably been notified of this, I don't know.
You have to tell everybody who you are, I'm sorry.
What?
Tell
Name and
everybody who
address.
you are. There may be some people who don't know you.
I'm Rick Lepre. I'm with the Oakland Franklin Lakes Rotary Club.
And since about 1987, every year we've done a car show in town in some way, shape, or form. And once again, we are having one come up. We've joined together with the Oakland Community of Commerce. I could drag Brian up again if we're winging it. Brian happens to be the president of the Community of Commerce. And then our other lead player is Rick Freund with Oakland Physical Therapy. You'll notice the word Oakland keeps coming up over and over and over again. And that is actually the purpose of this show. One is for the entertainment, it's for kids. People come down. What we do is we actually invite fellow car owners who will come down. This little judging thing goes on for them and door prizes and all that sort of thing. But in addition, that brings some 200 cars into town. And on September 22nd, Sunday afternoon from 1 to 6. They're all going to be out in the Copper Tree parking lot. And we get a lot of fathers, mothers, dads, entire families come down. And we even have a couple of the guys who are really cooperative. The kids get to sit in the car, we take pictures, things like that. So, and it's very laid back. Music, in addition to community commerce, is doing what? Promoting Oakland businesses. So Oakland businesses will also be represented. They'll have tents representing themselves. We will also have Rotary Club is having day 2 of its Mammoth Garage Sale at this event. And am I losing track of anybody yet? Pretty much, yeah. All right. So the idea is all of this, and then the funds that are raised that day. And yes, there's a little bit, the car owners, believe it or not, donate as they come in. And it's totally voluntary. And every dime we bring in that day goes to the New Jersey Mission of Honor for the Remains of Veterans. And that organization was formed by 2 Vietnam veterans. Both were Purple Heart recipients. And they discovered that all over the state of New Jersey, because of a peculiarity in law, the urns of veterans and other people that were not claimed and abandoned in funeral homes wind up sitting on shelves in basements and garages and all this kind of thing. There's no way to get them interred anywhere if they're abandoned. It's just a peculiarity of Jersey law. They went in and they actually got the law changed so that at least they could go in and it would identify people who were military veterans in good standing and who had obviously passed on and had been abandoned. And they collect them and they take and they arrange a complete military funeral down at the VA, the Veterans Cemetery. And I always blank on the name, and I've actually gone down on these. But they make sure these guys are, the men and women obviously, are interred with proper honors and taken care of, rather than left sitting on a shelf someplace. We don't leave our brothers behind.
I'm a Vietnam veteran, thank you for doing
Same
that.
here. So, that being said, that's the purpose of it. I understand with the way the sign ordinance is written in town, if you want to put up a sign to promote a community event, you ask to put it up in Bush Plaza. And I make life easy. This is my visual aid. All right? And that's the
Everybody
sign.
stand if you want to see it.
Want me to help you hold that way?
You want me to hold up?
Yeah.
Nice sign.
Beautiful,
All right.
beautiful.
Why don't you hold it up so everybody can see it?
Well, so I take another end. All right?
On TV.
And you'll see, in addition to
Very
those
nice.
of us who I've already mentioned, you'll see choppers involved, Copper Tree Mall, of course, because they donate the field, Tire Tech, the auto parts place. Obviously, this is kind of gearhead oriented in the shopping list here. All right. But this will be, been doing these since 1987.
You should go talk to Staples
Yes,
that were here before.
They're not here yet.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I already touched them.
Oh, okay.
Actually, all the merchants in Copper Tree do get involved. They do little special things for all the car owners. That's
we have Oakland's Restaurant Row, so to speak, and they help them out. They give them a deal on a meal, as it were.
And so you're here to ask,
I'm here to ask if I can hang this sign in Bush Plaza from August 21st to August 21st, 22nd to September 22nd, which is
So
the day of
moved.
the show.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Roll up your sign.
I thank you.
It's for a very good cause.
And we have a lot of fun doing it. And
But I've
if you want,
I've
bring that,
heard the speaker
shine up
from,
your BMW and bring it down.
Yeah.
it's a new one, it's not an old one. But, I've heard the speaker from Mission of Honor, and it's very moving when you hear what he says about these remains.
I mean, I don't do it justice. I mean, what these guys do just, it breaks me up to begin with. It's just such an incredibly noble thing that they went in and fought for, and got the law changed, and they're taking care of business.
So I thank you.
And I'm sure it's from any war, right? Not only.
Any war.
Yeah.
They,
Korean War.
the earliest, they actually did find the remains of back from the Spanish-American War.
Wow,
Amazing.
thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
work, Rich.
So at this time, we have a raffle license, RL1363, from the Knights of Columbus, number 5846 Ramapo Valley, COU, what is that?
Chapter.
COU?
COU?
That's what it says. Whatever. So,
Courthouse Place.
no, it's Knights, okay.
Oh, because it comes off, you know, there's only a certain amount of letters. that come in. Read it off the agenda.
Okay.
It's on the agenda.
All right, so this is going to take place as a raffle on December 13th, 2019, and it's from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m., 50% cash proceeds, and it's to benefit charitable community affairs.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next one. This is an application submitted by the Fathers Club, and it's for a social affairs permit for a pig roast on September 7th at the Elks Club, and the money is for youth, to benefit youth and rec programs.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we have resolutions. I'll read them as a consent agenda. If there's any you wish to be pulled out, just let me know. 19221 is the reappointment of CFO, that's David Young. We had given him a one-year appointment, and this is to extend the one-year temporary appointment as a temporary CFO. 19222 is to amend the salary of the CFO. The salary will now be $92,000. 19223 is to certification of the 2018 audit, and everybody who was here this evening, elected officials have signed it. 19224 is the corrective action plan, and that is from the audit. A plan has to be approved and filed within 60 days of formal notice. 225 is on hold. 227, authorized settlement agreement and release and executed for a particular employee. And this is the agreement that it was agreed to, we discussed and signed. 19228 is amend signatories on the animal control account, and that naming Lisa Duncan, our borough clerk, designated as the custodian of said account, and the borough clerk or deputy borough clerk and chief CFO be authorized to sign checks. 19229 is to authorize refund of 2019 taxes and cancel taxes due to totally disabled veteran tax exemption. If you're a permanently disabled vet, you are exempt from any taxes in the state of New Jersey. And so, yes. And so the amount will be $9,856.96. 19230, authorized refunds of recreation fees to Jill I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Matajunas at 3 Morningstar Lane at $170 for open camp, and Frank Menzel, 14 Kiowa Terrace, $225 for summer camp. 19231 is revised to change order 2 fire suppression system for the senior center. The contract was for $354,000. There's a change order in the amount of $9,843.75 to upgrade the ceiling tiles. 19232, that is authorize Agnoli Engineering emergency repairs to Alaman Brook. And the design and construction support services, $4,000. Inspection and construction cost estimate is $2,500. 19233 is to authorize Agnoli Engineering conceptual design for improvements to Alaman Brook. Hydraulic and hydrologic and hydraulic analysis, $3,500. Conceptual drawings with cost estimate, $2,000. 19234 is to join the U.S. Communities National Co-op, and it's a cooperative purchasing system, and it operates under Chapter 19 Intergovernmental Relations. 19235 is the authorizing the purchase of an ambulance, and we know we have a fantastic volunteer first aid squad, and the total purchase price is $242,000.
Could you pull that, Mayor?
Yes. So I'll finish that afterwards. So hold 235. 19236 is the emergency contract for the Jerome Avenue water main. 19237 is to hire seasonal laborer for the Department of Public Works, Jason Grider. It was effective August 15th, which is tomorrow, at a salary of $12 an hour. 19238 is the payout, authorizing the separation payout to Susanna Eisman, who has left our borough for different employment, and she is due for sick vacation, personal compensatory time accumulated, the amount of $7,644.90. 19239, appoint acting fire subcode official John Whittakin is hereby appointed as acting fire subcode official effective June 1st, 2019, and will serve in that capacity without additional compensation. And 19240. Why don't I have that? Appoint account clerk position in the finance department, Anissa Manero, for the position that's at a salary of $52,000 effective September 5th, 2019, and that is the position replacing Sue Eiserman. Resolution 19242, authorize release of escrow funds from the Oakland Planning Board, $20,114.09. And this is to West Berger Mental Health Care. Attention, Mr. Colton Meyer in Ridgewood, New York. Then we have additional, that's on the dais. 243, 19243. Resolution authorizing emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-46 due to damage caused by erosion to Alaman Brook, and this is in the amount of $350,000. And this is for 244 is authorizing Agnoli Engineering Phase B emergency repairs to Alaman Brook for construction inspection to Agnoli Engineering, $7,500, and soil testing, $4,000. Yeah, it says engineering services for the amount not to exceed $6,500. Then how could that be more? Am I missing something?
Is it wrong?
It says the amount not to exceed $6,500, broken down as follows: construction inspection, $7,500, and soil testing, $4,000. And my math, I know I'm getting old, but my math says that's $11,500.
Well,
So what is it?
Mayor, the 6,500 is a not to exceed for the construction.
Is that total?
But there's also an additional for soil testing. In order to get rid of the silt that's on the bottom
So
part of
it's
the.
not
It's just-
65.
It's just, I used the other.
That's okay, I just want to know what to
It's a
say.
typo, it's the 11,000.
It was a cut and paste error,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
that's all.
All right, so everybody make a note, it's 11,500. Then 19,245 is emergency repairs to Alaman Brook, and to Robbie Lane Enterprises. He will be the contractor, if all goes well and it's passed, in the amount of $322,480 for the emergency purchase described herein in accordance with NJSA 48:11-6. And that is any, other than 235, any others to be pulled out? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy?
Yes.
Councilman Knapp?
Yes.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Levy?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes,
Now let's go back to 19,235. This was pulled out by Councilman Pignatelli.
yes, I just have a question for Rich. Rich, when I read the resolution, it appropriated, I believe, $242,700 and change.
Yes.
Isn't the First Aid Squad contributing towards that? And do you still?
They are.
Do you still, what is it, you have to do the whole 242 and then you applied at 125?
No, the total purchase price is the 242,000.
42,700.
If you look a couple whereases down where it talks about the funds that are available for the
Okay.
project, has one account number for $125,000.
Oh, okay.
That's, I guess, what you would refer
Okay.
to as the borough's contribution out of capital.
Okay,
And the other part that has a G number on it for $117,704, that is the money that the First Aid Squad is putting up. Because it is a joint purchase, the rules here are that the borough has to do the procurement. So
Beautiful.
basically, they're giving us the money, we're putting it with the other money that we
okay.
had appropriated
Enough
last
said.
year.
okay, I understand
All
now.
right, do you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve 19-235.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Bialy?
Yes.
Councilman Knapp?
Yes.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Levy?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
All right, now we have ordinances,
You wish to
final,
drive them?
final adoption, 19 Code 788, flood damage prevention ordinance. And it is an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 14 of the Code of the Borough of Oakland entitled Flood Damage Prevention. And it's the entire chapter reading here. Is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak on this? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? No? Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy?
Yes.
Councilman Knapp?
Yes.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Levy?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Now we have ordinance 19 bond 789. It's to authorize the remediation of stream bank erosion at Alaman Brook in and by and for the Borough of Oakland, the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $400,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bialy?
Yes.
Councilman Knapp?
Yes.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Levy?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
And when is the final hearing?
August
August
28th.
28th. So you have time, if you're interested, to read the ordinance and speak about it, ask any questions, and the final ordinance will be passed, or not passed, on August 28th. Resolution 19241 is the introduction of the bond ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? The final passage will be at a meeting. This is the first reading. The ordinance shall be considered for final passage on the 28th day of August, 2019, at 7:30 PM. Was there a motion and a second? Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Biallo.
Yes.
Councilman Nack.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pimentel.
Yes.
Work session items. Mr. Kearns, you're on.
Sure. The first item, and several of these Brian may want to chime in on because they're ordinance related. The first one is the towing ordinance. This is something that the police department and Brian have been working on for some time to make necessary revisions to our towing ordinance. The captain had provided a nice summary as well as the new draft and the towing rate schedule. Just to briefly recap some of the changes that we're looking at here. It revises the definition of heavy-duty wrecker. It specifies a 15-minute response time for the towing company to respond to calls. It clarifies a 5-mile radius as the towing company's principal location of business rather than 3 miles. Adjust the annual licensing fee, which had not been updated in some time, so that goes from 200 to 500. We reviewed the insurance requirements, they're still adequate. And what we did, and I think this is kind of significant, all of the rates and fees that are in the ordinance now are being replaced by reference to the state police fee list. So basically, we're saying that we're not going to have our own, whatever the state police uses for their tow rates, we're just going to follow that. That way, when they adjust it, ours will automatically adjust as well. And it also modifies the frequency of the audits that the police department conducts on the tow companies to make sure that they're doing everything in accordance with the ordinance. Brian, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to the summary of that.
The only issue that I would add is that last year there was an appellate division decision as to various administrative charges for towing fees. The ordinance was designed to accommodate what the appellate division determined. Appellate division indicated that the Predatory Towing Act was applicable to towing companies even if municipal charges were included, and therefore they should be excluded if they weren't specifically permitted. So your ordinance was made to be brought in line with current standards.
Thank you.
Question? Does this cover 287, or is 287 exempt from this ordinance?
I guess it depends whose jurisdiction it's under, who's calling the tow truck. If the state police are calling the tow truck, it has to be an authorized tower for the state police.
Typically, 287 is state police handles. We will, when the state police is busy, for lack of a better term, but normally it's a state.
So this pricing will align itself with the same state police pricing on 287, so there's no discrepancy at all on whether we call them locally or the state police calls in a tow.
Correct, the same fee schedules will apply.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ordinance to regulate generators.
Brian, you want to take
Generators.
this one?
This was suggested by Councilman Talamini at the last meeting. Apparently, he was aware of a program where utility companies were allowing individuals to be cut off the power system and to utilize their generator to power the house in non-emergency situations. I wrote a memo to the governing body indicating that I could find no regulation regarding the use of generators but for compliance with noise regulations and the noise ordinances and noise standards under the DEP. The question is whether the borough wants to enact an ordinance that would prohibit the use of generators in non-emergency situations.
Except for testing, except for the weekly testing.
Except for the testing.
It's noisy. Our generator's noisy when they're doing the testing.
That is correct. So from a policy viewpoint, I could not find any statutory or regulatory requirements that would either supersede municipal regulation or regulations that would actually govern the use of generators. So it's discretionary with the governing body whether you want to enact an ordinance, and the way I would style it is to prevent the use of generators for for non-emergency periods except for routine testing.
I think more research has to be done on that rather than just pass an ordinance.
What would be an example of running a generator not in an emergency?
Well, what has happened is what Councilman Talamini raised. It's not in this part of the state, and I could not find anything for Orange and Rockland or PSE&G, where they are actually encouraging certain generator owners to come off the grid, use the generator to power their house. So the generator is going all the time, and they're cutting back the power supply to that home. I guess it's a way to regulate peak demand periods.
Have we had any problems at Oakland? Anybody complain?
I
Anybody
haven't
ask?
heard of it. When we were speaking with Councilman Talamini at the last meeting, he indicated he encountered that in somewhere in South Jersey.
Well, maybe it might be important, Mr. Kunz, to ask the police department if they've had any calls about this.
We can follow up and see if, any of our regulatory agencies have received any,
Health Department.
any complaints or noise complaints. And the issue we have with the noise is, we have a noise ordinance that,
Right.
along with some other ordinances, probably needs to be updated. It has decibel levels for a lot of things in it, but we
Our
don't have.
ordinance book
But
needs to
we
be
don't have
updated.
the necessary equipment to test for those noise levels at this point either, so there's really no way to properly enforce.
We have a lot of ordinances
Yeah,
that
we
need
do.
to be updated.
Yeah.
All right, fee ordinance.
Okay, speaking of ordinances to update, in this case, we have created two programs, the street banner program and the town calendar and information guide. Both of those have fees associated with them for the banners and for advertising slots in the calendar, and fees need to be established by ordinance. So very simply, this would just be an amendment to the fee ordinance to include fees for the banner program and the town calendar advertising spaces. $175 for the first, $225 per spot for the second.
All right, and proposal for engineering services for the removal of the stream house.
Yes, last but certainly not least, Connolly and Hickey recently had a meeting with the DEP to ascertain what permits would be needed because the stream house is over a stream. And after that was concluded, they put together the proposal that you have before you. This would cover the rest of the design work that's needed. If you recall, when we authorized them to submit the application to SHPO for the removal of the stream house, that included a lot of the design work to meet the requirements of the application. This would finish that design work and handle, would include the rest of the project management and bidding and the like for a fee of $21,150. It would come out of the recently authorized funding that you did in the bond ordinance that we passed last month.
Thank you.
Excuse me, have we already, we've already paid Hickey, County and Hickey money to do the original application, right?
We had the contract with them to do the application itself.
Do you remember how much that was?
No, I'm sorry, not offhand.
Okay.
I can find out for you.
I'm just wondering, I don't know.
Well, if you scroll through old minutes, I bet it's on your computer. Or ask a councilman next to you to scroll through the computer.
I can probably look in our finance system and get it a lot quicker.
Faster.
Right, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Spend doing that.
I just want, I don't know if $21,000 is excessive. Is it two-page is it 2-page, 20 pages,
Well, the application is all done. This is post-application
So this
now.
is more for supervising construction?
This is plan specs, bid phase services, construction inspection, construction administration.
Removal of the asbestos on the outside?
They would be overseeing that
Yeah,
as well.
Right, okay.
Do the inspection, survey, and report. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, under new business, before I ask if anybody else have new business, I have something I want to mention. That I received this alert from PSE&G and our gas company, and it's a scam alert. And they asked me to announce this to all the residents, so please listen. That Public Service Electric and Gas is warning New Jersey residents that scammers have spoofed one of its phone numbers in attempts to obtain personal information. And on last Thursday, PSE&G started receiving a small number of inquiries with calls escalating during business hours today. Many of the callers were returning missed calls that apparently were shown as made from PSE&G. Therefore, if you receive an unexpected call from PSE&G, particularly if you are not a PSE&G customer, especially electric, because we don't have PSE&G electric here, we encourage you to hang up immediately and then direct your calls to PSE&G. And there's phone numbers to call, and customer service line is 1-800-436-PSEG or 1-800-436-7734. But remember, if someone calls you from PSE&G and you have no reason to have them call you and they're asking for personal information, don't give it out. Hang up, say, I have to call you back, or call me another time, and then call PSE&G immediately. But do not give away your personal information to anybody calling from PSE&G.
That was on the news tonight, and a lady, elderly lady in New York was scammed out of $75,000.
Oh. Because you're giving away personal identifiers, personal information, and then they use that to go into various accounts. So
And
thank
they
you.
also say that part of the scam is your electric bill is late, and if you don't come and meet us at this location with cash, your service is being shut off permanently, and you'll have to reestablish it.
And,
So,
I mean, it's bad enough we have Rockland Electric for electric, but please, if PSE&G calls you about electric, it is definitely a scam, because we do not use PSE&G for electric. Any other? Any old business? Any committee business? So, we usually start, where do we want to start tonight?
Well, Pat has to go out to his car because he's not getting his car.
You want to start?
John will do your report.
Who wants to start?
I'll start.
You want to start? Go ahead.
Well, I can do the environmental, I was there.
Okay, council report for today, my senior report. Summer movie schedule of weekly afternoon movies continues every Monday at 1:30. The movie on August 19th will be the 2016 movie Hidden Figures. A flyer with the weekly movie schedule can be picked up at the Senior Center and is also available on the Borough website. Senior Center will be holding one more line dancing lesson this month for those interested in learning from our volunteer instructor, Edith. This lesson will be held on Friday, August 23rd at 2 p.m. There is no pre-registration, as this is a drop-in class. A program will be held on the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's on Thursday, August the 15th, which is tomorrow. Registration at the Senior Center is requested for this program. The Senior Center will be holding a Name That Tune game show on Thursday, August 29th at 1 p.m. Please register for this event at the Senior Center. The new fitness class was added to the new regularly scheduled programs every Friday from 12:45 to 1:45 p.m. The center will be hosting an arthritis fitness class. As with all other fitness classes, this will also be a drop-in class. And please save the date of Thursday, October 3rd for the fall trip to the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn. The stage play offered will be a new musical called Chasing Rainbows, based on a life study of the life of Judy Garland. Tickets will go on sale on September the 3rd. And the Monday Mahjong group is looking for additional players. Anyone interested can contact Ariel, and she will arrange that for you. DPW, we have a vacation respite from the DPW report, but I do want to share something with you. You might see people out on your property. If you have a utility pole, you'll see some construction workers who, I walked out onto the lawn on Saturday morning, and there were two guys digging up my utility pole. And I looked up the block, and they were digging one in front of Mr. Pritchard's house, and they were digging one in on my next-door neighbor's house as well. I went out to ask, and I was told by the out-of-town contractors, they're from Maine, Vermont, I should say, that they were hired, this company was hired by Rockland Electric to establish the vitality of the utility poles. So they dig down about 2 feet, they make sure the wood is not rotted or water damaged, and then they cover it back up and they leave it as nice as possible. And when I asked them if
If we were notified, because I hadn't heard anything, they said, no, Rockland is not making this very available as far as what they're doing. And I called Rich and I called the mayor, and nobody knew anything about this. Rich eventually got in touch with somebody at Rockland, and they just said, yeah, we're just carrying on this program. But I said to Rich and I said to the mayor, you know, for all we know, with what's going on in the world, somebody could be out there just digging holes around utility pole and placing explosives in the ground, and then covering it back up and moving on without saying anything to anybody in the town, and all of a sudden one day we wake up to an explosion and all the utility poles are gone. And so I begged Rich to let Rockland know to alert us when somebody, especially out-of-town contractors, are coming in here to perform work on our properties. So I'm sure that'll happen now, hopefully.
Thank you. That reminds me, you talk about DPW. A resident complained about a pothole, and I said, but I didn't know the pothole was there. Well, don't you drive up and down all the streets in Oakland regularly? And I said, no. So I ask all residents, if you find potholes on your street, call me, email Mr. Kunz and CC me, or email DPW and copy me, and we'll follow up. But we don't regularly drive through every single street every day, or even every other day. So if there are potholes, the only way we know about it is if you call. So please remember to do that. And thank you for reminding me on that with DPW.
Yeah, well, this is the first meeting, because we have a vacation respite from the DPW reports.
Right.
But ever since March, I've been reporting for residents to call in to the DPW office if you see or know of a pothole, and it will be taken care of quite quickly.
Yeah.
And they did over 2,000 potholes.
We have an incredible DPW department. If you call in about a pothole, they will
It'll be
come and
fixed.
patch it.
And
Now, the
Mayor-
county is another story.
Mayor,
Wow.
Just so residents are aware, another avenue they can take is, there's a service request function on the website.
How'd that feel?
They can go to the website.
He's all red.
It's actually kind of pre-formatted where they can select, report a pothole, and it'll go.
It'll be faster if they just call us.
It'll go
Or
directly to
email us
to
directly.
DPW.
Because some of those emails are going
No,
into junk mail.
That doesn't generate an email the
Oh.
same way,
Oh, okay.
okay? That gets routed right to the individual employee's email.
Got it. Thank you.
Rich, can I just add on that real quick? Before I went on vacation, one of my neighbors had brought to my attention about potholes on Walnut. And I went right to the website with the service request. I mean, by the time I got back, it was done, it was taken care of.
Good.
It's a very efficient way of just,
Good.
Well, I guess that didn't go into junk mail.
so that seems to be working fine.
Good. Thank you.
All right, so you're next.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Rec, just happy to report that the football season is underway, and soccer and cheer will be kicking off in the next couple of weeks. And as borough engineer had indicated, administrator, that the roller hockey bids will be opened up tomorrow at 11 a.m. down at Borough Hall. So hopefully we'll have that whole roller hockey project up and going, so that the kids can be playing in the fall. For the OCC, they're still looking for volunteers, especially for the TV committee. Additional help means they can put more programs on the air for the folks, local programs. Also, for more information, go to occ@oakland-nj.org. That's occ@oakland-nj.org. Also, the new bulletin board is finally cut over. It's up and running, and they're still kind of tweaking a little bit, but we've got a whole new look on channel 77 and 45. Update on the OLPH maths. It's still not airing. Progress is being made, and volunteers, they're still looking for volunteers to help, get that mass on the air, so we desperately need volunteers. And also, subscribe to the Oakland YouTube channel. Right now, we're trying to hit 100 subscribers. All you have to do is go to YouTube and do a search for Borough of Oakland. Go on the YouTube channel, hit like, and you'll get all the notifications. And one other thing that I just want to point out real quick, Barbara Percotte, I'm sorry, I messed her name up. She made these little flyers here for anybody who wants to volunteer for the OCC. We're going to leave these at Borough Hall. It's got the information as far as the TV channels, all the social media outputs. So put these at Borough Hall, puts them at the library. And really, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
I have to bring up something, and it was brought to my attention after that whole issue with the OLPH mass that's no longer on TV, because it is a public service station, and we fund it, that if there's any other church or any other religious affiliation that wishes to put their service on the Channel 77, they have the right to do it. I was not aware of it. Obviously, I'm not a member of OLPH, and I was not aware that the masses were being shown. And when a gentleman came to talk to me about it, it was an issue that I did not realize it was an issue. It was done, it was all voluntary, but when someone had read about it or heard us talk about it, said, why aren't there other churches showing their service? And I said, well, I'm going to announce that now, that if there's any church or any religious affiliation that wishes to tape their service, they have the right to put it on our channel. So contact our liaison, Councilman Kamala, or contact OCC, and you have the right to do so also.
Yeah, really, this is the channel that belongs to the residents of Oakland. So if there's something you want to put on there, which is church service or some club or activity, sporting event that takes place in Oakland, take advantage of it. You know, use the channel on both Cablevision and I mean, kids get a kick out of it when they see themselves on TV playing soccer or some sport. So it's there. It's for you to use.
Councilman, do you have your?
Thank you, Mayor.
You got everything?
I have it right here.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It came to me. There was no Board of Health meeting.
You need to go to your car and get that.
No, wait a minute. I'm starting with that. I'm going to continue. Environmental Commission. I'd like to thank Councilman Levy, who attended our last Environmental Commission meeting, and he explained the stream project in detail, finite detail.
Did he show the pictures when he was in the brook?
Yeah, no, but I was very impressed. I was always impressed with Mr. Levy's knowledge about the stream.
You can thank Mr. Yukimic and Mr. Agnoli for that.
But anyway, did an excellent job, and they appreciated him coming to our meeting. The other thing is a little bit disturbing. As you know, we applied for a grant for Roots for Rivers. And part of that was planting these trees next to the brook that runs through Great Oak Park. Evidently, someone, I don't know who, on ATVs ran over. Ran over some of the trees that were planted there, because you can see the tire tracks right in the river, right in the brook.
It might have been an accident.
I'm not passing any judgment, but if anyone sees people down there on ATVs, call the police just so that we can check up on them and what they're doing and make sure it's not the same people doing that over again.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
They put in so much time and effort into doing that.
They did, yeah. So it was a shame to see that. I don't know how many, she didn't say, Carol didn't say how many were destroyed. But on the positive side, the ones that were planted are starting to sprout and are starting to grow through the tubes that they planted.
Great.
Yeah. So the trees along the brook are extremely important for the trout, because they don't like to be in the sun and the hot water. The trees actually shade the water for the trout to reproduce. So it's an important project. And that's it, Mayor.
That's it?
That's it. Short.
Councilman?
Well, thank you.
The green team meets next week.
Oh.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Are you done now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Positive?
And it all came from here.
Oh, because you need to go to your car to remember that there was no health debate.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
There was no flood commission meeting this month because it's August. And there was not a quorum for the shade tree, so there was no shade tree meeting this month. The flood commission will be meeting on the second Monday at Borough Hall Conference Room at 7:30. The shade tree committee will be meeting on the first Monday of September at Borough Hall at 7 o'clock. And we will be having the first meeting of the Capital Projects Ad Hoc Committee on August 23rd at Borough Hall.
And the time is?
I believe 10 o'clock we said.
Good.
And, take it away, Bob. You're on the air. Oh, I wasn't.
So, I don't have a report. My public safety report's always the second council meeting of the month. I can tell you that we do have a public safety meeting coming up with the police department, the committee does. And not a committee that, well, I guess an ad hoc committee Linda created for the flags. So people are aware, we're trying to come up and standardize a flag policy for the borough of when to do what with the flag. There's a lot of requests to lower the flag for certain things, and they should be honored, but we need to standardize what's happening, because never mind what and the DPW's been outstanding lowering the flag lately. I get notified, I forward it to the DPW, and then within an hour, they're down or up, whatever it's supposed to be. But what's happened in the past with more borough-related things is, what happens with the flags depends on who you are, not what your function was. And we need to standardize that where, just because this person was well-liked and this person wasn't, if they did the same job, they should get the same treatment. So that's what we're doing. I will be meeting with the department heads for all emergency services and DPW, and I believe Pat or John as vets. I would like to include them as well, because I don't want to intrude on anything that the veterans utilize the flags for as well.
Thank you.
Friday?
That's all, Mayor.
Friday, fine.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, you missed it.
Wow. Okay, at this time, a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody? And here he comes.
Very quickly, Ryan Schwertfeger, 58 Andrew Avenue, OCC Chairman.
I guess the announcement at the Great Oak Park got you nervous.
No, well, about not the Great Oak Park, I was coming about the OLPH comment that you made.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you.
Fred Burks did let me know that when they did launch Oakland TV, they did reach out to all.
Oh, they did, good.
They did reach out to everyone, and OLPH was the only one that decided to go forward with it. But the invitation still stands, that if any house of
all right.
worship.
So could you make an announcement about the procedure one would follow if they want to tape a service from their church or their religious house of worship, what they would have to do?
Correct. So for general questions, you can always just send me an email directly. Eric said the email earlier, occ@oakland-nj.org. If it's going to be something more regularly, weekly, kind of like OLPH does, we worked out an agreement that works for both parties. But if you just want to send it when you can, because it depends, everyone has different volunteers and schedules. You can always just, if you want to burn on a DVD, you can drop the DVD off at Borough Hall, and myself or someone else will get it, and we can put it on the air and just have a rotating schedule to make sure that everyone is included in that. If it's going to be something a bit more involved, we'd be more than happy to work out something with that house of worship and figure out a good way to
Great, thank you for
facilitate.
telling us that. I mean, I think when I heard about the program, I thought it was wonderful. I mean, if you're stuck in your house or you're disabled and you can't get out and you want to hear a religious service, as long as it's open up to everybody, I don't think it's a violation, right?
It's a public access
Right.
channel.
So I just wanted to clear that for everybody. Thank you.
Correct. I just wanted to let you know that we did
Thank
reach
you.
out to everyone
Thank
initially,
you.
but
Appreciate
we're
that.
more than welcome to take anyone else.
Thank you for telling us.
Ryan, I just sent you the photo of tonight's check presentation for OCC.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
We have the Church
Do
of
you
Luby.
believe this?
Like that.
Yes, you can. The Church of Luby on TV?
You want to create a tape?
So is there anybody else who wishes, anyway, you want to speak? You've been sitting here, do you want to speak?
I'm not from town.
You can still speak. No?
All right, yeah, let me just, I want to say one thing.
I mean, you've been sitting here all night.
Just give your name and address.
My name is Dennis Bruger. I'm from Franklin Lake, 654 Juniper
Yes,
Place.
I
Kerry
know.
Bruger
is at 66 Lake Shore.
Yes.
I just want to thank everybody for the movement that has occurred in Alderman Brook, because her fence is, you know, falling in, part of her property is
I
falling
know.
in, and then also the Wilsons next door. And if you look up the stream, or
I
even
want you
down
to
the stream
know
towards the
that
lake, you
every
can see a
time,
lot of rocks
I
and
want you to know,
erosion.
every time it rains, Councilman Levy calls me and
You have a
says,
big black SUV?
he
I saw
calls
you
me
the
and
other
says,
day.
because he knows I'm always concerned about the shed, so every time it starts to rain, Councilman Levy calls me and says, the shed is still standing up.
I'm always looking at it also.
So,
We actually approved tonight the funding to
Right.
do the second piece of this, which is repairing behind, next to your daughter's house, behind Terry's house, and up on, behind 17 Sue.
Sue
because
up on Sue also.
the stream is so damaged up there, it's gonna cause more damage if we don't fix it.
Well, I was looking upstream the other day, and I noticed all these rocks in the middle of the stream. Now, the river's a little bit lower than what it's been.
Well, because
And
we
you
opened
can
up.
see everything that has fallen as you look up, and I'm sure, you know, past where I can see, there's even more going on.
Well, there's a lot of bad spots, but we're doing the stuff now that we're allowed to do by the DEP for
Okay.
emergency permit. So, you know, like I said, we're gonna be working your daughter's house, Terry's house,
And we were there.
17 Sue, and then also from the bridge down into the lake, because we have to clean that out. If we don't, it's gonna contaminate. But I gotta tell you something, when I've been down there looking at just the temporary stuff we did,
Yeah.
the water quality
Is
has
amazing.
increased more than I would have imagined. John, the water runs dead clean now. It's amazing. It was so dirty before.
You can see all the rocks that are on the bottom. You can see the bottom, exactly what's going on. And now that it's also widened, you can see how slow it's gotten.
Yeah, well,
You don't have
it's
that
gonna get better
speed that
because
you did.
next to your house and next to Terry's house, we have all those rocks there to keep everything from falling until we
Right.
do the permanent fixes.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
once we get rid of that, and once we work on that channel, it's actually gonna slow way down.
I didn't go in when
Matter
they
of
went
fact-
in. My job was to stand on top and take pictures. And I watched them go in the brook, and I went to was it your mom in the house? Yeah.
You're gonna
And-
you're gonna be able to put your fence back, by the way.
Yes.
Terry,
we was- Terry,
Yes, I'm
you're
sorry.
gonna be able to put your fence back when we're done.
I know, I appreciate that very much, thank you.
and your shed is still standing up.
So far, so
John
good.
promised.
Every day, we speak about that, he said, yes, the shed is still up.
And if you can't for any reason, it's Jay Yakimic at Boston.
Oh, I have your number.
And he's back, and he's
I know you
back
do.
now. So
No.
it's,
Yes,
I agree, I'm so proud of it. I mean, everybody, you know, from our borough administrator,
well, you said Roy. Roy is really.
Roy
the-
Balberger, I
is
mean, Roy
the-
Balberger is the one who actually kind of turned me on to Alderman Brook, the problems there when I was chairman of the flood commission. So, you know, this was, everybody did an amazing, the entire governing body, you know, got behind taking care of this, and obviously from tonight, they still are. So I think, you know, everybody gets to feel pretty good about
So
what
thank
we're
you,
doing.
Roy, you're not here, but you were the initiator.
Another question I've got, as long as I'm up here, and I
Yeah.
got this soapbox. The gentleman that was here 2 weeks ago, he talked about all of the information that he found about who, from the state, from
Oh, Mr.
1924.
Pritchard, he comes, I'm surprised not here tonight, he usually comes every week, every
And
meeting.
all the information he found out about, though, how this all has transpired over the years, because, you know, we lived in town back in the 90s when 287 first started
Yes,
coming
we
through.
talked about that, yes.
And who is actually responsible for that channel?
Now, do you really think that we have the answer?
No, I
Not
know
yet.
you don't, but I was just,
We don't-
I
we
just
don't
want to
have
say,
it
I mean,
yet.
I was amazed at what he was able to find out.
With all the
And-
research that has been done, and everybody just going back with their ideas and where they were back when, we still don't know.
Well,
And the
we
reason
know a
I'm bringing
little
it up
bit
is because
now.
Oakland's putting up all this money, okay?
Well, we're gonna go back, we're gonna talk to the New Jersey DOT. This is their mess. Now, who's responsible to maintain that stream is another story, but there is no doubt, the material that we took out and that we, you know, when we were cleaning out under the bridge,
Okay,
that's road salt,
okay.
all right? So, you know, I am sure that a very small amount of it came from somebody's county road, but the majority of it comes from 287.
And, I mean, it's common sense, but I know that it's a
Well-
whole thing to go through the process.
Here's the interesting thing, that when that channel was done, when it was moved back in the, I guess, early eighties, Gavion Baskets had only first just come out.
Right.
And, our floodplain manager, you've seen Nick Agnoli by your daughter's house.
Right.
So he did some research, found out that when the Gabion baskets were put in, they were still, the patent for those was held by the company that originally created them. John, you know the name?
My Italian's terrible.
It's something, it's an Italian name.
Macaferi or something like
Yeah,
that.
so, I believe, and I haven't talked to Nick about it in a while, but I believe, Nick said that McFerry, they sold the baskets to the DOT. I believe that was the conversation. We kind of had a quick email about it one day. So we actually know where the baskets came from.
Okay.
Because at the time they were put in, McFerry was the only company that was manufacturing those baskets. And by the way, we're gonna use those baskets to fix behind Terry's house.
Okay.
Your house is gonna get something different, so we have to do a vertical wall. We can't do a sloped wall there. Because if we do a sloped wall, you're not gonna have a driveway.
Would you have a nice fence?
Thank you.
It's very
I like the idea
pretty.
of keeping my driveway too.
It killed me when I came and I saw it going down a week after we stained it.
Oh, it's a really pretty fence.
Thank you.
In fact, that's how they got into the water, through the opening of
No.
the fence. Oh, that's how
Oh,
you
well, that's
walked in.
when we did the walk, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, you know who else actually needs to be thanked is your neighbor Fernando.
Yes, he's been
Yes.
wonderful.
He let us use his property.
Fernando
I mean, he
Fernandez.
offered his property like that. And he's actually, out of everybody in that area, the least affected.
Yeah, he was
Yeah, but I
very,
even
very
noticed on his side,
cooperative,
there were
very
some
helpful.
boulders that had fallen down.
We're gonna-
Starting in.
We're gonna address those.
Okay, good.
All right,
All
well,
right.
they just sat through this
That's
and
enough.
and
I'm
spoke.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat says I'm done.
Okay.
Would you like to speak also? Oh, okay. Anybody else? With that, motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills to be paid.
Bills to be paid, well, bills already paid is $303,419.95. Bills to be paid are $2,396,356.36.
Second.
Oh, he made the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Bialek.
Yes.
Councilman Nat.
Councilman Ab.
Yes.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Levy.
Yes.
Councilman Pimentel.
Yes.
Your motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next meeting will be held right here in council chambers, August 28th.
And Mayor, I'd like to wish you a happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
It's tomorrow.
Yes.
We're going to a restaurant that I've heard about.